Hello and welcome to the third lesson for the Getting Started at Farmers Markets Vendor Toolkit. This lesson will be focused on working with your farmers market managers. My name is Omar Rodriguez and I'm a Sustainable Agriculture Specialist with the National Center for Appropriate Technology. In addition to working for NCAT as a soil specialist, I also have previous experience working as a farmers market manager. During this presentation, I will be including excerpts from a previously recorded interview that I did with Samantha O'Byrne. She is the Executive Director of the O'Hara Commons and Sustainability Center in Hamilton, Montana. She also acts as a farmers market manager that is operated by the O'Hara Commons. Whether it's your first time selling through farmers markets or you're a seasoned vendor, it's always a good idea to build and maintain relationships with your farmers market managers. Generally speaking, the farmer to farmers market manager relationship is a mutually beneficial one. The farmer will pay stall fees that help to pay for some of the farmers market costs that may include permitting, overhead, staff, and outreach, among others. In return, the farmers market manager manages the day-to-day operation of the farmers market and will often do a lot of behind-the-scenes work to promote and drive traffic to the market. Additionally, most managers will have insider information, knowledge of the consumer base, an idea of the products that move well and those that tend to stick around the shelves. And if you're new to the farmers market scene, they can also help walk you through the application process. Sometimes farmers markets are run by an association, while others are standalone markets that are managed by a community member or participating farmer. Associations tend to manage a number of markets across a region, often spanning neighboring counties. Once a farmer takes on a market pertaining to an association, it's often easier to add markets that fall under the same association. In any case, getting to know the people that are in charge of developing, promoting, and hosting the farmers market is a good idea. Each manager or organization will vary in terms of the role outlined for the market manager. As such, it's important to get an idea of the roles and responsibilities of each manager you work with. Furthermore, individual markets, whether they're part of an association or not, will tend to have a set of guidelines that dictate what can and can't be sold. For example, some markets are only intended for the sale of agricultural products, while in others, you may see up to half of the vendors selling non-agriculture products, like art or jewelry. Here's a helpful tip for those farmers hoping to add markets within an association. It pays to develop a cordial and professional relationship with the farmers market manager. Managers within an association talk amongst themselves about farmers wishing to enter their market. If you have a history of running a good farmers market stand and work well with the farmers market manager, that information will often get passed around within an association. Being present at all events and following vendor rules can also go a long way in fostering a good relationship with the manager. Let's take a quick listen to Samantha O'Byrne, who's talking about her farmers market, the benefits it offers, and some of the behind-the-scenes work that she does.
We're a membership-based organization, and when we first started, membership, and it still does, membership with the organization comes with certain benefits. We've kind of broadened our definition of what membership does, and not only does it come with benefits, but we make sure, like for example, we've got resource sharing, we've got a truck share. But one of the things in the most recent years that we've really reinforced with our members is their membership is supporting the work that we do. We have a really loyal and dedicated following on our email distribution. So I just sent an email out yesterday and it had a 78% open rate, which is huge. And then we also have a really, really high click rate. So to me, that indicates we have an incredibly engaged community. And then, so we do a lot of promotion through email. We do a lot of social media also. And we actually do have a part-time employee who helps with the social media outreach. Both the in-person market as well as the online market, there is constant communication. Yeah. And when we get ready to do social media posts, we take the time to find out what's going to be available, what can we highlight. We're calling our vendors to see if they have anything special, because this is the time of the year that they are so busy.
Yeah.
they're just like getting their booths up and getting their product on the table.
Yeah.
And so we try to gently take all of the extra work off of them by making sure that we're communicating with them.
Visiting and walking through a market can help guide a conversation with a market manager. I've included a couple sample questions you may consider answering that'll help you promote yourself and increase your chances of getting into a farmer's market. When taking a look at the product mix, note any holes that you can fill with your own products. Do you offer different cultivars? Do you produce organic or entirely different product mix? Where are the lines building and what's being purchased? If you notice long lines at particular stands, note what's being sold and how it's being displayed. Long lines may indicate that there's space for another similar vendor to add volume and reduce traffic. If possible, visit all the markets on your list and return during different weather events. Take note of the crowds present and how they vary from one visit to another. Just a side note on market selection, the bigger market isn't always the better one. I've talked to many producers whose best market is a mid to small scale one, so give them a chance. One might have a smaller but more dedicated shopping base, so crowd counts throughout the year will be more stable and less likely to ebb and flow as some of the more touristy markets. After you've had a chance to walk through the market, it's time to meet the manager. Find the market manager, preferably at a time when they aren't so busy. Typically, the hour after the market opens for customers is a good time for a conversation with the manager. If they're available during office hours, a phone call may also be helpful. Knowing what you're looking for in a market and what you have to offer will help streamline the conversation. What did you learn from walking through the market? Do you have an established product mix that you'll be sticking to? Or will you be able to add products? What do you need to charge in order to cover your costs? And does the average price point in the market exceed that number? These are a few examples of some of the questions you should have answers to prior to speaking with the farmer's market manager. During your initial interactions with the farmer's market manager, some of the more important questions are going to center around the customer base. I've included a few sample questions here to help get you started. Two fundamental factors that'll dictate the type of customer that you're likely to see in a market are the location and time of the market. From there, it's a matter of figuring out which groups are present in your market and then identifying their shopping behavior, as each group will tend to behave in a general pattern. The next step is to figure out how your stand can accommodate those customers. Now let's look at a couple examples of how a farmer might adjust based on the customer base. If it's a weekday market during work hours, bunched pre-bagged produce might be ideal for the worker shopping during lunch who wants to just have a quick shopping experience. For the big weekend market, it might be a good idea to spend some time creating a very nice display, perhaps adding an additional employee to handle sampling. In a market populated primarily by tourists, eggs are a perfect example of a product that won't sell well. In these three examples, we tinkered with the display, product selection, and employee support. As a farmer, these variables are important items to consider when catering to a particular customer base. And it's up to you to make the appropriate selection based on your observations and communications with the market manager. Once you're in a market, the relationship continues. Being dependable and easy to work with can go a long way in creating a good working relationship. Maintaining open lines of communication can really help expand potential sales. Keeping a positive relationship and open dialogue can lead to accessing new opportunities, like getting first choice at a better stall location in the market, or accessing a new market altogether. Talk with your manager about what they do behind the scenes. Often a manager will promote and do outreach for the market in various ways. Being able to cross-promote through your social media platforms is one common and powerful example of how you might be able to leverage the relationship. Also, speak with the manager about other local opportunities to sell your product. Restaurants and grocery store sales can help boost your daily sales and reduce costs by arranging delivery on your market days. This way, you're spreading delivery costs among two or more market outlets. Here I'll leave you with another excerpt from my interview with Samantha, where she talks about communication.
Talk to your market manager, like always communicate. I just had somebody's like, our spot's just a little bit too sunny. Where can we move? Always know that that line of communication is open, because your market manager is invested in the success for everybody. And so we're constantly thinking about how to improve like the big picture while working directly with each of the participants. And take advantage of all of the free promotions that you have. We just sent out a letter to all of our vendors after the first month, and we're like, okay, so here are some observations. We spend a lot of time building social media campaigns, and every time I send out like an email, I'm using original photographs, and I need fresh pictures, and I go to people's websites, and I strongly encourage anybody who has a website to make sure that at least once, but better than that, at least quarterly, once a year, but is minimum, but quarterly is better, update your websites to make sure that all of the people who hit your website know where you are present. So in the observation letter that I just sent out to everybody, I asked everyone to check their websites to make sure that their following knows that they're at the Wednesday Farmers Market, and to make sure that if social media campaigns go out with their name on it, like cross promote, because we can do that now, and make sure that you share those things, because I'm speaking to the same audience, you know, which is growing by maybe 5 to 10% every year, but that doesn't mean that I'm speaking to your audience, and that's how we will grow the thing together.
Thanks for tuning in to this presentation. If you want to learn more about farmers markets or other marketing outlets, please feel free to visit our website at ncat.atra.org. Thanks. Yeah, holding hands. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that a lot of other kind of market outlets, it's just impossible because it's not as personal a connection.
Right.
Um, so I guess just in terms of working with vendors, what sorts of kind of insights might a market manager have that could help increase their sales in a particular farmer's market?
Rephrase that question. What kind of insights would the market manager be able to offer the vendors?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
About the market, about the local population, just in general, kind of
Right.
like, I guess another way of thinking about it is kind of like, what should a vendor be asking the farmer's market manager if they're interested in selling at a farmer's market?
Whew. I suppose because of the size of our market being so small and because of my being such a hands-on market manager, um, I feel like at the point in time that I do outreach to fill empty spots that may have come up, I feel like I do that initially in the outreach of new vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need eggs. We needed eggs for years. And so now just this year, we added root-bound ranchette. And now we have like a reliable source of eggs at the farmer's market. And they have extra vegetables that they can sell in addition to the eggs. So they have a really nice balance. And I guess that's what it comes to is, doesn't it always? I guess it really, if I were to advise or offer my 2 cents to any vendor, I would express the need for diversity. And it's one of the reasons why my small garden shop business did so well. Is it wasn't just garden. I tied in my interest of bird watching and bird feeding with it. And so I had built this incredible year-round gardening shop success story because of the diversification. I would say that would be that would be what I would advise anybody who comes to the market. We occasionally fill in our bread with a vendor who has only bread and no sweets and like no pastries. And I can tell you their sales are about a quarter of what vendors who have a diversity of bread products sales would be. So we have another vendor who sells microgreens. That's Eternal Bloom. And they're doing a great job and people love the microgreens, but they've diversified in some of their other value-added products that they have. And so it brings more people to your booth. And if somebody comes to your booth, for one thing, the likelihood is that they will then recognize what else you have to offer.
So a vendor that's maybe able to be flexible and adapt to or listen to what their customers are saying is
Absolutely.
maybe ideal.
And then to know your neighbors at the farmer's market also. We have a couple of vendors who initially in word, it seemed like they were like going to mirror each other almost identically. So whatever diversity one had, the other one had a similar diversity. And then once they got their table set up and once they got their booth set up, it wasn't the case at all. Yeah. And the other thing that the only areas where I feel like we haven't had great success are, can I say this really politely? We've had a couple incidents where we have a new vendor, we have a new kid on the block, and they don't invest themselves into building the relationships. And it takes at least a year to build your following, to make sure that people are coming to you for a specific reason. And it takes a long time to establish relationships.
Yeah.
And that can be painful in your first year because you can be standing there with beautiful strawberries, but everybody knows their strawberries over there are fantastic because they've been selling them for 10 years and they've tasted them. And, without spending the time establishing that relationship, it's challenging.
Yeah. So what other considerations should a prospective vendor be thinking about if they want to work in a farmer's market?
I think it's great to know the other producers, the people who have similar products, and throughout the years that we've been here, all of the I lost it. All of the produce growers that we've had, they all have their own spin on something. We've got this one produce vendor and Verdura Pastures, and they've got, I call it a boutique farm. What they do is so unique. They've got fresh cut flowers, they've got beautiful vegetables, they do meats, and they always have something quirky and unique, like kaffir lime leaves. And they've got this beautiful sign, this great signage, and people will see the sign and they'll beeline to them because they have a question about some unique thing they have on their table.
Yeah.
So yeah, knowing your fellow producers and having at least one niche market where you're really pouring something, you're pouring into it something. It's something that you love because people see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of out of questions, but I guess I should ask if there's anything I forgot to ask you, or if you have any other suggestions or ideas.
Well, to that I can say, your first year, don't be discouraged. Like, know that even though you're walking away from a market not making, like, you're not going to calculate your hourly wage based on your first year of markets. It really is an investment, and trust that when you make that investment, your following will happen. And
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, I want to thank you for your time and sharing your story. This is a beautiful farmers market in a uniquely beautiful place, and yeah, thanks for all you do.
thank you so much.